It was late at night. The city was quiet. Too quiet. The streets were empty, the lights dim, and only the sound of a distant dog barking broke the silence. In one corner of the city stood a small, broken house. The walls were cracked, the roof leaked when it rained, and inside, everything looked tired, like it had seen too much pain. Inside that house sat a 16-year-old boy named Ollie. Next to him was his mother, silent, tired, but still holding on. "Mom, will we have anything to eat tomorrow?" Ollie asked in a low voice, almost like he didn't want the words to come out. His mother smiled, a soft, painful smile, and placed her hand on his head. "God will provide, my son. He always does," she whispered. Ollie had heard this line many times before. But tonight, something felt different. Tonight, his mother's voice had fear in it, like something dark was coming. Her eyes looked worried, even though her lips still smiled. Ollie was used to poverty. He had grown up with empty plates, cold nights, and silent mornings. But he never complained. He had learned to be strong. Still, that night felt strange. Something was about to happen. Something big. Something that would shake his life, break it, and then rebuild it into something no one could have imagined, not even Ollie himself. But the journey ahead was not easy. It was going to test his heart, his hope, and his strength. This is the story of how one broken night started the rise of a boy who had nothing but a heart full of dreams. Ollie was no ordinary boy. He had never worn fancy clothes. He never owned a mobile phone or even a toy car. His shoes had holes in them, and his school bag was torn at the edges. But inside his heart, he carried something rare, a fire that never gave up. He lived with his mother in a small room they rented in the old part of the city. His father had died when Ollie was just 7. Since then, life became a daily fight, not just for food, but for hope. Every morning, Ollie would wake up before the sun. He would walk 5 kilometers to school, sometimes barefoot, sometimes with an empty stomach, but he never missed a day. Why? Because he had a dream. Ollie wanted to become an engineer. People laughed at him. "Engineer," they would say. "Look at your clothes, your life. You should learn how to drive a rickshaw, not chase dreams." But Ollie didn't listen. He believed that one day, his hard work would shine brighter than his poverty. He loved books. He would sit under the streetlight at night and study, while mosquitoes bit his arms and his stomach growled in hunger. His mother often said, "Ollie, rest a little." But he would reply with a smile, "Just one more page, Ammy." Ollie didn't just want to change his life. He wanted to change his mother's life. He wanted to see her smile without worry. He wanted to buy her a new house, new clothes, and a life where she didn't have to cry in silence. Ollie had no money, no support, no backup, but what he had was a heart full of faith and a mind that refused to stop dreaming. Ollie's story wasn't just about poverty. It was about pain, loss, and silent strength. He was only 7 when tragedy hit. His father, a hard-working laborer, went to work one morning and never returned. A construction accident ended his life in seconds. That day, Ollie saw his mother scream for the first time. She cried, holding his father's torn shirt, like it was the last piece of her world. That night, their home changed forever. They had no savings, no relatives who cared. Within weeks, they were forced to leave their small rented flat. Ollie's mother took him to a slum, where they found a single room, dark, damp, and broken, but it was all they could afford. Ollie's mother, once a housewife, began stitching clothes for long hours just to afford one meal a day. Her fingers bled, her eyes swelled, but she never stopped. Ollie saw it all. He was too young to work, but old enough to understand pain. He would sit beside her, hold the fabric for her, and say softly, "One day, Ammy, you won't have to do this. I promise." Some nights, they had no food. They would drink water, lie down, and talk about dreams. Dreams of having a home with a fan, a small fridge, and clean clothes. His mother always smiled through her tears and said, "Maybe in the next life." But Ollie believed it could happen in this life. He remembered one winter when he had no sweater. He went to school wearing a shirt 3 sizes too small. His classmates laughed at him. But his teacher noticed something else: his eyes. Bright, sharp, full of hunger, not for food, but for knowledge. That teacher gave Ollie his first real book. It was about the lives of great inventors. That night, Ollie read about Edison, who failed 1,000 times before inventing the light bulb. He looked up at the dim streetlight and whispered to himself, "If he can do it, why can't I?" From that moment, Ollie stopped feeling like a poor child. He started thinking like a warrior, one who would fight his fate, not fear it. This was not just survival. It was the beginning of Ollie's silent revolution. Life was a series of small battles for Ollie. Each day was a fight against the world that seemed to have forgotten about him. At school, the other children teased him for being poor. They mocked the worn-out shoes, the mismatched uniform, and his tattered backpack. But Ollie never let it show. He pretended not to hear the laughter behind him, even though it stung deep inside. His mother had taught him the most important lesson: never let anyone see your pain. The worst part was the constant fear that his mother would fall ill. If she couldn't work, they would have no food. If they didn't have food, they would have no home. Ollie carried that weight on his young shoulders every day. In the mornings, after his mother sent him off to school, he would walk to the nearest street corner where people threw away scraps of food. Sometimes, he found a half-eaten sandwich or a few vegetables that hadn't spoiled. That would be his breakfast. But Ollie didn't mind. He was used to hunger. He sat at the back of his class, always trying to learn as much as he could. His teacher, Miss Sanaa, noticed his potential. She would often stay after school to help him with his studies. "You have something special, Ollie," she would say. "You don't give up, no matter how hard things get." Her words became the fuel that kept Ollie going. But it wasn't just the struggles at school. There were times when even the simplest things became insurmountable challenges. Like when the school bus would skip his stop because he couldn't afford the fare. He had to walk miles to get home, sometimes in the rain, with shoes that were falling apart. The harshness of life was relentless. But Ollie's resolve was stronger. When his mother fell sick one winter, he had to pick up extra odd jobs after school. He sold small items on the streets, did errands for shopkeepers, and even washed cars. With each penny he earned, he came one step closer to his goal: to change his family's life forever. Every struggle, every tear, and every moment of despair only made him stronger. Ollie wasn't just surviving anymore. He was building his future, one small step at a time. The day that changed everything started like any other. Ollie had just finished his shift at a local shop, wiping down the dusty shelves in exchange for a meager amount of money. It had been a long, tiring day, and his mind was already on the many problems waiting for him at home. But little did he know that fate had other plans for him. That evening, Ollie was walking back from the shop when he noticed a group of men gathered around a street corner. They were talking animatedly, laughing, and handing out flyers. Curiosity piqued, Ollie stepped closer, wondering what they were doing. One of the men, an older gentleman with glasses and a kind face, noticed Ollie's interest. "Looking for work, young man?" the man asked. Ollie hesitated. His pride made him almost walk away, but the thought of his mother, sick at home, pushed him to stay. "Yes," he replied quietly. The man smiled. "We're holding a competition for young talent. If you're interested, you can give it a shot. It could change your life." He handed Ollie a flyer. The competition was for a citywide scholarship for a prestigious school that could offer the education Ollie had always dreamed of. It wasn't just about winning a scholarship, it was about winning a chance to escape his life of constant struggle. The idea of finally having a chance at something better was so overwhelming that Ollie could hardly believe it. He had no idea what the competition would involve, but the mere thought of a chance to change his future was enough to make him nervous with excitement. That night, he stayed up late reading the flyer. The competition would be based on knowledge, creativity, and problem-solving, all things Ollie had honed in his everyday life. It didn't matter that he hadn't had formal education. He had learned by surviving. He knew he was capable. He just needed an opportunity. The next day, Ollie rushed to sign up for the competition. But the road ahead wasn't easy. The challenges would test not only his skills but his determination and his very belief in himself. But Ali was determined to give it everything he had. This was his chance, his turning point, and he wasn't going to waste it. The day of the competition arrived, and Ali couldn't shake off the nervous excitement swirling inside him. He had prepared as best as he could, but there was still doubt in his mind. What if he wasn't good enough? What if this opportunity slipped through his fingers like so many others? But as he stood at the entrance of the grand auditorium, his heart swelled with a sense of purpose. This was it, the chance to prove that he was more than just a poor kid with dreams. The venue was bustling with energy. Young men and women, some of them much older and more experienced than Ali, filled the space, talking in groups and nervously eyeing the stage. Ali couldn't help but feel like an outsider. The polished clothes of the others contrasted sharply with his simple shirt and jeans. But instead of letting it overwhelm him, Ali pushed the thought aside. He wasn't here to compare himself to anyone else. He was here to fight for his future. A voice came through the microphone, calling the participants to gather. As they all walked toward the stage, Ali's nerves turned into excitement. He was ready. Ready to face whatever challenge lay ahead. The first round was an open quiz, general knowledge and problem-solving questions. Ali had always been sharp, having learned to adapt and think quickly through his daily struggles. The questions were tough, but with each one, he felt more confident. As the rounds progressed, Ali found himself excelling. He might not have had the luxury of a formal education, but life had taught him valuable lessons. He was quick to think on his feet, offering solutions and insights others missed. But the competition wasn't just about intellect. As the rounds went on, the challenges became more complex, involving teamwork, creativity, and leadership. Ali was paired with a woman named Sarah, who looked just as nervous as he felt. Despite the tension, Ali knew this was his moment to shine. Together, they tackled each task with determination and resourcefulness. Their ideas were fresh and innovative, making them stand out from the other teams. By the end of the day, Ali was exhausted, but a sense of accomplishment surged through him. He had made it through the first rounds. But the toughest part was yet to come. As the competition moved into the final stages, the atmosphere shifted. The excitement of the first few rounds had given way to intense focus. The challenges were tougher, more grueling. Ali felt the weight of the situation settle on his shoulders. The prize, what he had been fighting for, was within reach, but the path was no longer clear. The next challenge was unlike anything they had faced before. Each team was given a complex problem to solve, one that required not just intellect, but resourcefulness, leadership, and time management. The clock was ticking, and Ali's heart raced as the problem unfolded before him. Sarah looked at him with a worried expression, her brow furrowed. She was clearly feeling the pressure. Ali, how are we supposed to solve this? We need to think fast. Ali took a deep breath. This was his moment. He thought about the times when he had to make quick decisions on the streets, when the stakes were high, and there was no room for mistakes. He recalled his days in the small workshops with his father, solving problems with limited tools, using creativity to find solutions. That was his strength. He could think outside the box. "Don't worry," Ali said, his voice steady. "We can do this. Let's break it down step by step. We have the skills. We just need to use them wisely." Sarah nodded, though she still looked uncertain. Ali knew they had to act fast. He quickly scanned the problem, identifying key areas that could be tackled first. With a clear plan in mind, he began to delegate tasks. He handled the technical aspects while Sarah worked on the logistics. Time seemed to stretch, the seconds feeling like minutes. Their hearts pounded as they worked furiously, not wanting to let the pressure break their focus. Despite the setbacks and unexpected challenges that kept popping up, whether it was a faulty piece of equipment or a mistake in their calculations, they managed to stay calm. Ali's unwavering determination and quick thinking were leading them through. As the clock ticked down to the final seconds, Ali and Sarah made their last adjustments. With a final, confident push, they submitted their solution. There was no guarantee of victory yet, but Ali felt something he hadn't felt in a long time: hope. The judges called for a break, and the tension in the room was palpable. Ali stood with Sarah, his heart racing, waiting for the next phase to begin. Whatever came next, he knew one thing for sure. This was his chance, and he wasn't going to let it slip away. The break was brief, but it felt like an eternity. Ali's mind raced as he replayed everything that had happened so far. The challenge, their solution, the team dynamics, everything was a blur of effort and anxiety. He could hear his heartbeat in his ears, the noise of the other participants around him fading into the background. There was only one thought in his mind. This is it. The turning point. Just as the break ended, the host made an unexpected announcement. Due to unforeseen circumstances, we are changing the next phase of the competition, the voice echoed over the speakers. Ali's stomach tightened. He hadn't expected a change this late in the game. This wasn't just about solving problems anymore. It was about handling unpredictability, something he had learned in the toughest parts of his life. The host continued, the next challenge will be a public speaking round. Each team will present their solution to a panel of industry leaders. This round will count for 50% of your total score. Ali's heart sank. Public speaking? That was a challenge he hadn't prepared for. In the streets of his childhood, he'd never needed to speak to crowds. His actions had always spoken louder. But now, as he stood in front of the judges, the stakes were higher than ever. The pressure of presenting his work to such influential figures felt like a weight that pressed on his chest. Sarah looked just as stunned as he did. Ali, what do we do now? She asked, her voice tinged with concern. Ali took a deep breath. He couldn't let the nerves get to him. This wasn't just about showing the judges how well they could solve problems. This was a test of his character, his ability to adapt and rise to any occasion. He looked at Sarah and gave her a reassuring smile. We've got this. Just focus on our story. The solution is strong, and we know it inside and out. Let's tell them how we got here. They spent the next few minutes refining their pitch, rehearsing the key points they needed to highlight. Ali had always been a storyteller at heart, whether it was through his actions or his words. He just had to channel that same energy, that same drive to make an impact. As they walked to the stage, Ali could feel his palms sweat. But with every step, a sense of calm started to settle over him. This was their moment. It wasn't just about winning anymore, it was about show. Ali and Sarah stood before the judges, the weight of their work resting on their shoulders. The room was quieter now, the audience's hushed whispers growing faint as the spotlight focused on them. Ali could feel the tension in the air, thick enough to touch. The final test was not just about what they had built or the project they had spent weeks perfecting. It was about their ability to present it, to tell their story with conviction, confidence, and clarity. As the first judge, a woman with sharp eyes and a stern expression, cleared her throat, Ali's mind went blank for a split second. This wasn't just any competition. These were people who had the power to change their futures. They were the gatekeepers to everything Ali and his team had worked for. The pressure hit him like a wave, but he fought to stay grounded. He could not afford to falter now. The judge began. Tell us why your solution stands out from the rest. What makes it not just a good idea, but the best one? Ali's throat tightened, but his training, his experiences, and his raw determination surged through him. He opened his mouth, and the words came. We didn't just focus on solving a problem, Ali began, his voice gaining strength. We looked at the bigger picture, how this solution can change lives. It's scalable, sustainable, and it empowers communities. But the real power of our solution lies in its ability to adapt to future challenges. We didn't just design a product, we created a foundation for growth. Sarah stepped forward, continuing seamlessly. What we've built is more than a solution, it's a vision. We're not here just to win a competition. We're here to ignite change. We believe this idea can spark a movement, and it's just the beginning. Ali could feel the judges' eyes on them, the intensity of their scrutiny, but he pushed forward. This was it, the moment they had been building toward for weeks. He spoke with everything he had, his passion, his belief in the idea, and the trust he had in his team. Each word was a reflection of their effort, every sentence an embodiment of their dreams. The judge who had spoken earlier nodded thoughtfully, her stern expression softening for just a moment. Impressive, she said. You've presented not just a product, but a purpose. This is exactly the kind of innovation we're looking for. Ali's heart skipped a beat. They were in. They had done it. As the final judge made their decision, the room was thick with anticipation. Ali and Sarah stood side by side, trying to keep their nerves in check. They had given everything they had. The months of sleepless nights, the countless revisions, the moments of doubt, it all led up to this single moment. Would their dream become a reality? The lead judge stood up, her gaze sweeping over the crowd before focusing on Ali and Sarah. After careful deliberation, we are proud to announce the winners of this year's Innovation Challenge, she said, her voice echoing in the quiet room. The team that has demonstrated the most promising solution, one that not only addresses immediate needs but also looks toward a sustainable future, is Team Ali and Sarah. A wave of disbelief washed over Ali. He felt as though he had been hit with a rush of adrenaline. He looked over at Sarah, who was equally stunned, her eyes wide with surprise. For a brief second, time seemed to stop. The reality of what they had achieved was slowly sinking in, but the sheer magnitude of it hadn't fully hit yet. The applause that followed was deafening. Ali and Sarah stood frozen for a moment, trying to process the announcement. It was only when they heard their names called again that they snapped back to reality. They were being ushered toward the stage to receive their prize, a large, gleaming trophy that seemed to glow under the spotlight. Ali reached out, his hand shaking slightly as he accepted the award. The weight of it wasn't just physical. It represented the culmination of every challenge they had faced, every moment of uncertainty, and every leap of faith they had taken. Sarah stood beside him, her smile radiating with pride. "We did it," she whispered, her voice full of emotion. The crowd continued to cheer, but in that moment, it was just the two of them. They had overcome every obstacle, and now, they were standing at the peak of their journey. The victory was sweet, but the real prize was knowing they had created something that could change the world. As Ali held the trophy aloft, he realized that this was only the beginning. There was so much more to do. But for now, he allowed himself to savor the moment. The journey had been hard, but the reward made it all worth it.